Welcome to the Business Credit and Financing Show. Each week, we talk about the growth strategies that matter most to entrepreneurs. Listen in as we discuss the secrets to getting credit and money to start and grow your business. And enjoy as we talk with seasoned business owners, coaches, and industry leaders on a variety of topics from advertising and marketing to the nuts and bolts of running a highly successful business. And now, to introduce the host of our show, financial expert and award-winning author, Ty Crandall.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to our show today. So today we're going to be diving in. We're going to be talking about how you set up initially your credit profiles with Dun & Bradstreet, Experian, and Equifax. We're also going to be talking about why this is so important, because a lot of people don't realize that, in the business credit world, you could get a bad credit score even if you have no credit, if you don't take the steps to set up your credit profile properly and get some initial credit established. So today we're going to decode this. I'm going to talk about Dun & Bradstreet. We're going to talk about Equifax. We're going to talk about Experian. And we're going to be most importantly talking about exactly what you need to know to get in there and actually get set up with all three of the reporting agencies. So let's dive in. So today we're going to talk about how to set up your initial business credit profiles with all three of the business credit reporting agencies. And this is important because, again, if you don't have your credit reports set up now, business world is definitely different than the consumer world, where you can actually be given a credit report, even if they just have basic information about you. And you can also, by two of the reporting agencies, is what we're talking about later here, even also being given a actual credit score. So that being the case, you need to make sure, I'm going to give you a free way today to go in and get set up, or to see if you're set up with all the reporting agencies, so you'll know if you're set up or not. So today we're going to be talking about setting up your reporting agencies, and there's a couple steps that you'll need to take to set up your business first before you even get set up with the reporting agencies. The very first step is to set up the business entity, of course. So if you haven't done this already, you can build business credit with any entity, but you need to make sure you have an entity set up. So an entity is how your business functions. It's a corporation, it's a partnership, it's a sole proprietorship, it's an LLC. That's what an entity is. You could do this directly with your Secretary of State. Now, I was talking to somebody today about how they were spending a few $100 to set up their entity, and there's a lot of companies out there that can help you with this, but I got to tell you, it's actually pretty simple to do. You can go right to your Secretary of State website and easily set up your entity, and you can build your business credit with any entity. It doesn't matter what entity you do choose, but you should try to stay with an LLC or corporation, because those entities are the best with limiting your liability. If you go with a sole proprietorship or a partnership, you are the business. And if you are the business, then the problem is that you're never really going to be able to separate liability. You're always going to be liable. Why does that matter? Well, first of all, if you're building business credit, it matters, because if you default on a credit card that with business credit, then they could sue your business, but not you personally. If you're a sole proprietorship or partnership, they could sue you personally, which you don't want. Speaking of lawsuits, it's another reason you want to separate liability. With partnership and sole proprietorships, you and the business are one and the same. The problem with that is that if for any reason, for example, the business was to get sued, you could get sued. So there's a lot of reasons you want to separate personal and business liability. It's really only you only really have the ability to do that if you choose the right entity of a corporation or an LLC, because those businesses are separate. The entity is separate from you, and because you are separate from the entity, you have a better chance of separating your liability as well. So again, you can set up your entity pretty simply by going to your Secretary of State website. All you do is search for the name you want to see if it's available, then follow the steps to set up a for-profit or nonprofit business. Fees are going to vary based on state, but it only takes about 15 minutes or less. I can set up an entity with sunbiz.org here in Florida in less than 5 minutes. It's super simple to do. And again, the fees vary. In Florida, it's about $70 now. In California, it's like $600. So fees vary wildly based on the state you're in. I've found the states that are more entrepreneur friendly, that are more friendly to business owners, Florida's a good one, Texas is a good one. Try to make it pretty simple and pretty cheap to be able to set up your business entities. Once you've set up the entity, next you've got to go to the IRS website to set up your employer tax ID. Now, you do not want to pay for this EIN. It's totally free. There's a lot of places out there that have ads making it look like they are the IRS, but that's not really the case. The IRS.gov link, if you look at the URL you're on, it will walk you through the process, and it's completely free. Some of the other ones will have links that look like they're an official government website, but when you get to the end, it tries to charge you. Never pay for your EIN. It's always free. You need to know that. And this is important because your business credit with all three reporting agencies is built under that business EIN. And you can see here at the bottom right slide, this is an actual company that charges for EINs and tries to make it look like they are an IRS website, right? So www.ein-gov.us. So they're really trying to make it look like they're an official government entity, but they're not. So don't fall into those traps. The only entity you should ever go to is irs.gov to set that up. Now, I do want to say something here. A lot of people get confused by this, a lot. And a lot of people think that you build business credit under your DUNS number with DNB. Well, that's absolutely not the case at all. So the DUNS number is a 9-digit identifying number that the Dun & Bradstreet uses to recognize your business, and it's used worldwide. So it's kind of like an EIN, but it's used across the world. Other countries, Australia, for example, uses the DUNS number as well as we do here in the States. So the EIN is really country specific, but which is only available here in the United States. Canada, every other country calls it something different. So EIN is what your business credit is based under. It is not built under your DUNS number. It's built under your EIN. As a matter of fact, you can get credit with a lot of credit issuers that will never even ask for your DUNS number, and still you'll have a credit profile established. You don't even have to have a DUNS number established and still can get approved with a lot of different creditors and build your business credit. So your business credit is absolutely 100% built under your EIN, not your DUNS, although your DUNS number is something you can get from Dun & Bradstreet that some credit issuers will want you to have as a first step, which we'll talk about that a little bit later. So let's talk about how you can set up your initial business credit profile with Experian. Well, there are three main reporting agencies in the United States that cover business credit: Dun & Bradstreet, Experian, and Equifax. Now, this is interesting because although you could build business credit in Canada, you could build business credit for your entity in Australia, for example, they all work with different reporting agencies. So here in the States, though, we work with Dun & Bradstreet, Experian, and Equifax Commercial. Experian and Equifax sometimes go by Equifax Experian Commercial. Sometimes they're referred to as the Experian and Equifax Business. These are basically just the commercial division of that actual reporting agencies. So these are the reporting agencies that your EIN credit is reported to. So as you're establishing business credit, these will be the three that you're going to want to monitor that that credit will be reporting with. Okay, Experian is the second largest business credit reporting agency, and they're used by a lot of credit issuers to determine if you should be approved for a credit card and how much you should be approved for. So this is very important. Dun & Bradstreet has a credit builder program, which I personally think is phenomenal. I'm a big fan. But you're only building business credit with Dun & Bradstreet. The problem with that is that a lot of credit issuers, a lot of the people that issue credit cards to you, don't look at DNB, they look at Experian to make those decisions. So you definitely want to make sure that you get set up with all three of the reporting agencies, especially Experian, because Experian is one of the ones that most credit issuers look at to determine your approval. Now, your Experian business credit report contains identifying information, payment details, public record info, inquiries, company background information, your business credit score, even multiple business credit scores. As a matter of fact, Experian usually has about 3 to 5 business credit reports and scores that will actually show up on your credit report. So your Experian, a lot of things that show on the report: identifying information, your SIC code, your business, your personal, not your personal info, but you as the owner's information is on there, your payment details, your days beyond terms, your payment trends over the last quarter, over the last year, your current payment status, public record information. Do you have lawsuits? Do you have judgments? Do you have tax liens? Any of that stuff's going to show. Inquiries, other companies that have looked into your credit profile, any background info. If your company's linked to another parent company, all that would be on your report. 3 to 5 credit scores. So all those things are things that you're going to find on an Experian report if you review one. Now, you get started with Experian by using their Biz Verify system to see if Experian has information about your company already. and to verify the information they do have. Now, I put this link on the bottom of all of our slides, and you can conduct that free search right there, creditsuite.com/reports. If you go there, you're going to see that you have the ability to actually get reports or to do this free search with all three of the reporting agencies, and that gives you a chance to click the link, go to Experian Biz Verify, enter your basic business information to see if they have any information about you. Now, you can also go to Experian directly. It's not like we only offer that on our site. We just have so many people ask us where to go to do this that we put quick links on our site. On creditsuite.com/reports, you can get to D&B, Equifax, and Experian from there, all three of them. Whereas you can also go to individually to the reporting agencies. Experian's is smartbusinessreports.com. If you go to smartbusinessreports.com, you can access their Biz Verify system as well. And here's what this process physically looks like. So you're going to go to Biz Verify. You're going to see a little box like this to ask for your company name, the city, the state, my company or other company. Very important to note here. The reason you're given a choice is because you need to know that anybody can access your commercial credit reports. It's not like consumer credit where somebody needs your permission to get your credit report. In the business world, anybody can get your business credit reports. These guys will sell you the reports for any businesses, and you can also do searches for other businesses here as well. So they're going to ask for your company name, your city, your state, and you're able to search. Once you search, in this case I searched Walmart for example, then you're either going to get a result or get no results. And those results could either be your company or be maybe somebody else's company with a similar name. So in this case, we see Walmart, we see their address here in Bentonville, and we can click on proceed and proceed. And if we click on proceed, what ultimately is going to happen is they're going to push us to get a free business credit report, or did not to get a free one, but to actually get a business credit report. But the reason this matters, the reason this is a big deal is that without paying for the monitoring, you could still go through and see if they have a company record that pulls up for you here or not. And if you have a business name and a business address that shows up, well, guess what? Then Experian has a report populated for you. If nothing pulls up, then they're not going to. So here's the process once you click, and here's exactly, if you click the trade lines part, this is what it says. It says a trade line is a reported line of credit. Trade line payment experiences can be used to recognize early on time relay payments. Trade line payment experiences are listed by supplier category, blah, blah, blah. So bottom line is that they're telling you this company not only has a record, but they have trade lines. Very important to know, because again, what you're going to learn is that they will populate a report for you even if you have no trade lines, and you'll still be given a score. So trade lines indicates that, one, well, the address being popped up and the company appearing shows you the company does have a record. And the trade lines indicator under the name, you can see here under the address, trade lines, that indicates that there are actual trade lines. If you were to click on trade lines, it would tell you this same window of what you see here, and then it would also tell you that, hey, if you want to see the trade lines, pull a business credit report. And here's their report options. Again, this changes. I'm doing this now. I think it's July here, 2017. So these prices obviously change, but this is where they are now. You can see how much it actually is to access your business credit report. And don't forget that you can also get business credit reports on other companies as well. Okay, so again, it gives you an idea. So if your initial search does pull up your business information, if something does pull up and it's your business, right? Because there might be a business with a similar name that pops up that's not yours. But if a business pops up that does have your name and your address, well, then you should probably pull your business credit report. Because even if you have no trade lines, they can still give you a low score, a failing score, an F score, if you have even basic, if they have even basic information about your business. And from Experian requires minimum information to generate a score. If a business doesn't meet these requirements, a score is not generated. Minimum information is at least one trade line and or one demographic element. Guys, this is very, very important. So what Experian is telling you is, hey, look, we can give you a score even if you don't have a trade line. Look, minimum information is at least one trade line, or, so they don't even need a trade line to give you a score. One demographic element. Well, what does that mean? Well, that means that, let's say they know your business name, they know your business address, they know some of your financial data, they know your SIC. If they know your business exists, it categorizes it as a demographic element, and they will then populate a business credit report and give you a score. So I often go live on Periscope and Facebook, and I have in the past pulled people's Experian business credit reports and said, hey, look, give me your business name and address. I'll pull it right here live. Well, if ever I see anybody with a 27 or a 28 or a 29 score, I immediately know that they have a credit profile but no trade lines reported. And this is a lot of companies. So this is why that free search I just gave you at creditsuite.com/reports makes such a difference. Because if nothing pulls up for you, that's actually a pretty good thing. When a record does pull up and you have no trade lines, then it's worth you pulling your report, because what you very well might find is you're going to have that F score, a 28, 27, 29 score, indicating that, hey, look, we know you exist, but you don't have a business credit profile. They'll do this even with demographic information. Where do they get it? They get it from everywhere, guys. They're the reporting agencies. What reporting agencies do is gather and sell data. They get it from utilities companies and a bunch of other sources that give them information that they use to know your business exists. If you made it through your first year of business and file an annual report with your Secretary of State, they'll get it from your annual reports. So you can't hide from the reporting agencies for too long. They're going to eventually know you exist and populate that report. And more from Experian. Demographics such as years on file, SIC code, and business size. So that means if they have any of this information, one trade line or demographic element, which they say is the SIC code you're in, or the business size, they're going to populate a report for you. Well, how do they know business size? They know it from your annual reports. So think about it. Whenever you file an annual report at the end of every year, if you've done this, they ask you how many employees you have. Well, you might not think anything about that, but when you submit that annual report, the reporting agencies get that and all heck breaks loose. First of all, they'll populate a report and give you a low score in this case just because now they know your SIC and they know your business size because you've told them employees. Other credit scores start getting generated for you as well. So for example, the reporting agencies all have scores that take into account your financial data or information based on your business size. So for example, Experian, 5 to 10% of their credit scores based on the age of your business, the industry you're in, and the size. So that's why they give you a credit score, because if they know the information you give on annual reports, they know the industry you're in, the SIC, they know how long you've been open, and they know the size or employees, so they'll immediately populate that report and score if they get it from the Secretary of State or other places. Now, if Experian has even basic info about your business, this is enough demographic info for them to populate that report. And like I said, even with no 7 out of 29 out of 100 score, it's a failing score. So think about it. It's about as third as high as you can go, right, of the score. So 29 is about 30% of 100. So if you were looking at that by FICO score, then that's a failing score, right? The highest FICO score you could get, for example, is 850. And if you looked at a third of that score, it would be 350, less than 350, as bad as you can get. So when it comes to commercial credit scoring, you are by far an F if they pulled up a record and you don't have trade lines. That's typically what you're going to see. It's worth getting your report to actually check it out. If you get your report, here's what you're going to see. So I always do this when I do live streams and review reports. When I see this, and this is from a real Experian commercial report, when I see this combination, credit limit recommendation of $1,000 and a 28 score, I immediately know they have no trades. And I'll say that before I even scroll down to the trade line section. I'll say, well, it looks like they have your report populated for you, but you have absolutely no trade lines. Let's look. And then when we go down, we'll start to see this. This is another credit score that they offer, and you'll see lack of trade lines is why the score is low. You'll see risk associated with the business type, which is SIC, employee size of the business, risk associated with the company's industry. So let's dive a little bit deeper into this. What's happening is Experian is, for example, getting your annual report information from your Secretary of State. 1, you have no trade lines established. 2, the SIC that you are under they don't like, which is these other 2 indicators. And 3, since you're a fairly new business, you don't have a bunch of employees. And since they don't have any trade lines, to actually give you a score. All they have is this aspect, which actually only affects 5 to 10% of their total score. They're scoring you based only on the information they have, which is the size of your business, the number of employees in your SIC. Since in this case they don't like your industry and they don't like that you're newer and don't have employees and don't have trades, that's why they're scoring you so low. Here's another example, okay? This company was established a year ago, right? It's 28 score, $1,000, and we're seeing the same thing. Lack of trades, risk associated with business type, employees. So, and we can see that they just don't have any trades. When I look at the actual payment details, it's all zeros because they just have absolutely no trades established whatsoever, no payment history. Here's that other one too, the $1,000 recommendation, absolutely no payment history. This is the bottom of the report you can see here. So there are no trade lines to show, there is no payment history. They're populating it only based on industry and employees. So the great news is that it only takes one account reporting to change that status from high risk to low risk. So even one reported trade can change your score from 2729, the lowest, to 8500, the highest, with only one account reporting. And it only takes about 30 to 90 days after you get approved for an account reported. So you want to buy something, pay the bill, and then that account will report if you're getting an account like, let's say Uline or Quill, right? Uline and Quill are accounts that will give you credit even if you have no credit. They report to the reporting agencies. You get an account there, you buy stuff, you pay the bill on time. Within 30 to 90 days, they report to Experian. And remember, as we saw, even that one account alone will give you a good score. Now, if you pulled up a record during that free search and you realized that you didn't have any trade lines, but you have a record, the good thing to know is don't flip out if you pull that score at 27, 28, 29, because all you have to do is get one account that reports to them, pay it as agreed, and that alone will give you a good score. So here's an example of this. Here's a score, a company with an 85 score, not a 29. They're now an A score, and they're being recommended for $2,100. And we can see here that they just went over their quarterly trends from a 28 score to now an 85. So from one month to another, they went from 28 to 85 score. We can also see factors lowering the score of the average age of commercial accounts. They're fairly new. Experian saying, look, they don't have 100 because the score, the one account they do have is fairly new. Here's that account. See the bottom, packaging, net 30, $100. So what's happened here is somebody went in, had a 28, 29 score, got one account with more than likely Uline. Business credit reports don't tell us the credit issuer's name, only the category, which is packaging. So probably a Uline account. Paid the one Uline account on time. You can see they don't have any days beyond terms, and that one account took them from a 28 to an 85. See, this is the beauty of business credit. You can't do this with consumer credit, right? Imagine having a 350 credit score and adding one positive account to your consumer credit reports and going up to 750. Like, that would be awesome, right? But that's not how FICO works. But this is how business credit scores work, which is why they're beautiful, because they're very easy to build. It's easy to get good scores because it only takes, with Equifax and Experian, one reported account to go from no score, bad score to good score. So we've had people, it's really crazy. We've had people come in with multi-million-dollar companies get denied for a $10,000 credit card at their bank because of their credit score. We had one account. The one account takes them from a 28 to an 85, 90. They go back in and apply and get approved for a $20,000, $30,000 credit card. It's crazy, but these automated approval systems that credit issuers and lenders use will deny you just because they pick up you have a bad score. You get even one account to get a good score, then that reverses the whole thing and you can automatically get approved. Another thing that's important about this is that if you have bad credit because you have one negative account reported, you could do the same thing. By adding one or two positive accounts, you'll flip the scale. You'll take that one account that's dragging down your score and bring your score up substantially just because you added one or two positive accounts on there, okay? So you can get set up you can set up initial trade vendors that report to DNB, Equifax, and Experian to establish initial business credit. That's how you can get some positive accounts. And if you have good personal credit, well, then you can also get, cash credit or unsecured financing. So let's talk about the next step. The first step here is you do a search and see, are you set up or yes or not. If you're set up and you pull that report and say, well, I have no trades, bad score, well, now you need to establish initial business credit. How do you do that? Well, I'm outlining a few different ways. The first way with Experian is that you get some accounts that report to them that will give you an initial positive payment history. Uline, Quill are two that are, for example. The second option is a shortcut. If you have good personal credit, you can actually get accounts that report to the business credit reporting agencies that are Visa cards, MasterCards, that you could liquidate. So let me give you an example. Let's say you have a high credit card limit of $10,000 on your credit report. Now, you have good credit, or your credit's shot, but you have a family member, a friend, a colleague, somebody that wants to sign for your business as a guarantor. You could use the good credit and get $50,000 in real usable Visa and MasterCard credit. You could take $50,000 out of those cards. You could get $50,000 in cash and not pay a 20% cash advance rate. You get 0% on these cards. You get 0% even if you take out 100% of the cash. So you could literally get the cash out and get 0% for 6 to 18 months. Those accounts only report to the business reporting agencies, not the consumer reporting agencies. And in doing so, you're getting access to real usable money. You're also building your business credit. So if you don't have good credit, no problem. Start with Uline, start with Quill, start with vendors. If you do have good credit, this is a way to get cash credit really quickly and also build your business credit at the same time. So with this program, you can get up to 150 grand, 0% rates for 6 to 18 months. It's unsecured, no doc, and you can get approved even as a startup. And there's a link to go, creditsuite.com/get funding. If you're interested and you have good credit or good credit guarantor, it's a way to shortcut the process. You add 3, 4, 5 positive accounts on your business credit report. That gives you a good score. You get 50, 100, 150,000 in real usable money that you could even liquidate and get the cash out on. If that makes sense, there's a short link, creditsuite.com/get funding to get approved. So that's what you need to know about Experian, right? We know how to do its search, see if you have a report. If you don't have a report or don't have accounts reporting, you need to get some. You could do so through vendor accounts. You can also do so through that shortcut I gave you with the unsecured business financing program. I'm not going to go through all the vendors and stuff today because if you go to youtube.com/credit suite, you'll see videos where all we do is talk about vendor accounts. But I want to go through today and just talk to you about the initial setup with the 3. So DNB is often, Dun & Bradstreet, often called DNB. They're the biggest business credit reporting agency. They're about 10 times larger than Experian. Experian has about 20-something million records on file. DNB has over 200 million records on file. They are by far the 800-pound gorilla in the room. They provide information on businesses and corporations that are used in credit decisions worldwide. They're a publicly traded company, DNB, on the New York Stock Exchange, and they're actually right here in the States. They're in Short Hills, New Jersey. So business credit reporting agencies like DNB get data from a lot of different places, utility companies, landlords, companies that set up new businesses, insurance and benefit providers. So if you're wondering how Experian even knows you exist, it could be any of these sources. It could be your Secretary of State, as we talked about as well. So first step is you want to make sure that you check to see if you have a record set up with DNB now. Now it's completely free and easy to do. You can go right to DNB's website. You can check what they have, a service called iUpdate that you could check that at. And again, I gave you a quick link at creditsuite.com/reports to see if you're set up with DNB. It doesn't cost you any money to see if you're set up. You can also go directly to their website at dandb.com to do the same thing. Again, all we do at creditsuite.com/reports is just give you a quick link to reporting agencies, so that way you can find out if you're set up without having to know their exact link to go and do so. So here's the process that you're going to go through with DNB. You're going to basically come here, you're going to do a search for your business. Once you search the business name, in this case Walmart, they're going to pull up different locations associated with companies that are similar to that name. If you choose one, and then that's as simple as that. If you have a record pulled up, then you probably want to pull your reports to see if they have any other reporting information about you. If you don't have a record pull up, you're good. You could start from scratch and know that at this point in time, DNB doesn't know you exist. So if you pull up a record for your business with DNB before you take another step, you should consider pulling that actual report. Same as with Experian. With DMB, if a record does pull up for your business name and address, it's worth pulling your report. To do this, you need to enroll for their credit monitoring. In doing so, you'll see if you have any credit reporting with them. You'll also see if you have any credit scores and see what those credit scores are with DMB. And if you have negative items on your report, well, you can dispute those right through iUpdate as well. And this is the same with Experian. With Experian, if you pay for their credit monitoring, you can dispute derogatory items in their credit monitoring. DMB, you could do this through iUpdate. You don't even have to pay for credit monitoring. You could dispute inaccurate information right through their iUpdate service. You can get your business credit reports and scores with NAP through creditsuite.com/monitoring. That does not work yet. It probably will not work until the end of the month, but you can go to creditsuite.com/reports to pull up and see and do that free search to see if you have a record with them. Now, if your search with DMB doesn't show you have a DUNS number, you're going to want to get that set up. It's one of the first steps to getting set up with DMB. Now, notice you could go through and get accounts with a lot of credit issuers without this. They don't need it. But if you want anything to report to your DMB reports, you need to make sure your business is set up with DMB and get that DUNS. The DUNS number is a 9-digit number issued by DMB and assigned to each business location in the DMB database, having a unique, separate, distinct operation. So why this matters is that your DMB DUNS number is linked to your business location. So, for example, if your buddy wants to run his business out of your office, you need to be concerned, because if he put his address as your address, then all of a sudden he could go out, get his DUNS number, and then you could have issues. So the DUNS number is linked to your business address, location. Keep that in mind. When you hear me talk about business, teach about building business credit, you'll often hear me spend a lot of time talking about the importance of having the right kind of address. Well, that's because these credit reports are associated with your address. Now, what's interesting about this, and this is another question that surprisingly I don't get asked as much as I think that I should get asked, is that when you build credit with places like Uline and Quill, they won't even ask for your EIN. So some people are like, well, how am I building business credit for my EIN if they don't even ask for my EIN? Well, look at what they do ask for. They ask for your business name and they ask for your business address. That's how credit reports are populated. And on my Periscope and Facebook live streams, we do this when we pull business credit reports. You'll see that all I need to pull a business credit report is your business name. That's it. If I just have your business name, I can pull your business credit report. But if your name is similar to other companies' names in the country, well, then I need your address, at least your city and state, to know which one is you. So if I pull up ABC company and I do a search and there's 100 ABC companies to pull up, well, then if I know that you're in Tampa, Florida, it helps me narrow down of the hundreds which one is actually you. So address is very important. So every business has to have a DUNS number before they'll give you a PAYDEX score. It's that simple. So you could get 12 trade lines that report to DMB, but they're not going to give you that PAYDEX unless you set up the DUNS. So you've got to get that DUNS number set up. Now, the DUNS number is preferred method worldwide for identifying the business. Unlike the EIN that's only used in the States, a lot of foreign governments, Australia, the European Commission, use this DUNS number to recognize your business. For example, if you wanted to be a contractor for the UN here in the States, you'd have to actually get your DUNS number even as a contractor. Why does that matter? Because that's how it's free. A lot of people think they have to pay for the DUNS number. You don't. It has to be free because contractors are required to have it in a lot of cases. So it can't be a requirement with so many countries and then also be something they force you to pay for, which is why that DUNS is available for you for free. So more than 50 global industry and trade associations recognize that DUNS number. Now, when you actually start applying for credit, you should consider using some type of business address or virtual address, as I was just mentioning, but setting up your entity and your DUNS number is going to require a physical address of some kind. So a lot of people use virtual addresses as well. They should, because they don't want to use a home address on an application. They don't really have a real physical office. Maybe they can't afford it, or maybe they don't need it, right? So in that case, what you need to do if you're considering using a virtual address, what you need to know is you can't set up your DUNS number linked to a virtual address. They will make you set up a physical address. So if you went through for example, other of my training has said, okay, I get it, I'm going to set up a virtual address, it helps me get approved for credit, then keep in mind when you get to applying for your DUNS, you're probably going to have to use your home address or another address because they will not accept virtual addresses when you apply in most cases. And by in most cases, I mean if they know it's a virtual address. These guys all have databases that they use, credit issuers, lenders, etc. And if the virtual address is in that database, it could create a problem with your DUNS number where you're not able to get it set up, and they may require a different kind of address. So even though you can obtain real business credit without supplying your social, most business bank accounts may require one to be open. So I'm telling you this because, look, a lot of people, when I talk about building business credit for your EIN that's not linked to your social, they'll say, well, wait a minute, I needed to use my social to get my bank account set up. I needed to use my social to get my EIN set up. Well, that's just because they need to know you're a citizen. That's why they need to prove that you're a citizen. And with the Patriot Act and other requirements, there's other reasons that they need forms of identification. But the bottom line is you can apply for credit and leave your social security number off the application. But knowing that, keep in mind that when it comes to getting a bank account, setting up your entity, they're going to need it. When it comes to getting your DUNS number, they're going to need a real physical address, not a virtual address. So just keep in mind that when you build business credit, a virtual address makes sense. Not supplying your social makes sense. But when it comes to getting your entity set up, getting your DUNS, you're going to run into these kind of barriers. So I just want you to know that going in. Now you can search for your DUNS right through the link at creditsuite.com/reports. You can also go to danb.com/free-DUNS number to do that as well. During the DUNS setup process, you're going to be asked for a lot of info. I mean, it's about a 15 to 20 minute process to set up your DUNS. And if you select that you're a government contractor, well, you'll get your DUNS a little faster, about 1 to 2 weeks. If you don't tell them that it takes about 30 days to get your DUNS, Dun & Bradstreet now gives you an opportunity to pay $50 to expedite your DUNS. So if you go through and tell them you're not a contractor, at the end of the process, they'll give you an option of paying $50 to expedite that DUNS number. If you don't expedite, it could take about 30 days. So here's what that process looks like. You're going to go to DNB's website, and that link I gave you, they're going to be looking at something like this, free DNB DUNS number. You're going to go through, click. It's going to give you this option, U.S. government contractor, get it free DUNS, whatever it may be. You're not a contractor, so you might choose get it free DUNS, and they're going to walk you through a 6-step process. They're going to have you enter your personal info, the business info, review the details, the processing options, which is going to include, for example, do you want to pay the $50 to expedite? Then you're going to request confirmation, and the order is going to be complete. It's about a 15 to 20 minute process to go through to set up the DUNS number. And once you've done so, this is the final step. Thank you for your request has been submitted to DUNS Bradstreet. All information will be reviewed and validated by Dun & Bradstreet. Here's that option I told you. On their website, they give you that option to expedite, which is where you can spend, I said $50, I think it's like $49 to actually expedite it. And this happens under processing options. In step 4, they're going to give you that option of expediting. So do you expedite or do you not? Well, it depends on how fast you want to build business credit. A lot of people ask me that. How long does it take to build business credit? And my answer is always the same. It depends on you. You know, do you want to expedite your DUNS number? Do you not? How many accounts are you getting set up for and applying for initially? You know, how much do you use your credit? I mean, you determine how long it takes to build business credit, and this is one of those things. Do you want to wait a week to 2 weeks to get your DUNS or 30 days and save $50? Well, that depends on you, but you'll obviously expedite your business credit building process if you spend the $50. So it takes about 10 to 15 minutes process. Once you're done, DNB will email you. Reps will also start to call you and email you to upsell you to the DNB Credit Builder program. So keep in mind that you're going to get calls from a company called DNB Credibility. Now, Dun & Bradstreet Credibility used to be separate from Dun & Bradstreet. They were a privately owned company operating out of California, I'm pretty sure. And then DNB just bought that entity back. So what happened was they sold this business credit builder division for like $100 million. They sold it. And then the company that bought it did a really good job and blew it up and did amazing things with it. And then DNB wanted it back, and they spent like $300-400 million to actually eventually buy it back. So now D&B does govern. D&B Credibility is a division of D&B, and D&B Credibility will call you and email you, and they'll sell you this program called the D&B Credibility. You'll get letters too, and the letters will tell you that somebody inquired into your business credit reports to give them a call. Well, all of these calls and emails and letters are all to sell you this D&B Credibility program. Here's an actual email from them that shows you that. I've been unable to contact you regarding your recent application for a free DUNS. Please contact me, my number below, as soon as possible. This is important. So this is the kind of languaging you're going to get. When they leave you a voicemail or they email you, they're going to put all this urgency in there. It's important. Get in touch with me as soon as possible. But you need to know they don't need to talk to you to issue your DUNS. If you didn't call them or email them back, they would issue you the DUNS number anyways. They just send these emails, they send the letters, they call you just to get you to contact their sales rep, which inevitably is then selling you their credit builder program. And when you get your link in the mail, here's what that looks like. They give you this iUpdate account request setup. So once it's set up, they'll tell you, here you go. Here's how you can actually access your tracking. And then when you get your DUNS number, here's what they send you. Here you go. Your request for Dun & Bradstreet DUNS number has been verified and completed. The following DUNS number was created, and then your DUNS number is there. So when you process it, you'll get an email that looks like this initially. When you get your DUNS number, you'll get this. In between, you will get calls, at least one to three emails from a rep over there trying to sell you their D&B Credit Builder program. So expect that as well. So there's 3 different ways to set up your business credit with Dun & Bradstreet. With Experian, we talked about 2. With D&B, the first way is to get their credit builder program, which is at dnb.com or dnb.com/credit builder. With this option, again, as we talked about, you're only setting up your credit with D&B. You're ignoring Equifax and Experian. The problem with that is credit issuers mostly look at Experian, lenders mostly look at Equifax. So if you only build business credit with D&B, well, problematic, obviously, because you're ignoring the credit bureaus that the lenders and credit issuers use most. So just something to keep in mind. And D&B Credit Builder prices change, but it's about $1,600 annually, or about $159 a month as of June 2007 when I looked. And again, they change their prices all the time, but that's how much the credit builder program is. So there's a cost here, right? About $1,600 a year to do that. Now, again, a lot of people ask my opinion on D&B Credit Builder. Here's what I tell you. I think it's brilliant. I love it. I love D&B Credit Builder because it lets you take accounts you already have and add it to your business credit reports. I think it's amazing. The drawbacks is that, first of all, it's not cheap. I mean, let's be honest. $1,600 a year just to add trade lines when you could do that through vendor accounts might be an unnecessary expense. And the other problem is a lot of accounts you can't add as trade lines to D&B's reports. You can't add rent, you can't add utilities, you can't add any kind of credit cards or bank credit. So when you rule all that stuff out, your rent, your credit cards, bank references, when you rule out utilities, you have to really think of what other bills do you even have left that you pay that could get reported, because a lot of the main stuff you have can't be added. So there's the negative and positive. I like the fact that you could take accounts and add it to your D&B credit profile. I think it's cool. It's a good way to get a D&B Paydex score established pretty quick. The drawbacks are, it depends on you. I mean, $1,600 just to add some trades to your D&B credit profile, and you still have to go through a process of establishing the others, and at the same time, not being able to add rent, utilities, bank credit, any of that kind of stuff. It's whether it's worth it for you or not, you have to figure that out. But let's talk about the other 2 options. You can, of course, get trade lines, get vendors that report to D&B, Equifax, and Experian. We talked about Uline and Quill as some initial trade vendors. If you have good personal credit, again, you can go through that unsecured business financing program that we talked about, where you can get approved as a startup, no doc financing, 0% 6 to 18 months, approvals up to 150 grand. So there's 3 ways you can build business credit here, right? 1, with D&B, you can pay for Credit Builder. Well, Experian and Equifax don't have Credit Builder. That's why most credit issuers and lenders look at Experian and Equifax. So what happened was a lot of lenders and credit issuers used to look at D&B primarily. But when D&B rolled out this Credit Builder program, a lot of them immediately abandoned ship. A lot of them no longer wanted to report to D&B, and a lot of them no longer wanted to rely on D&B, because D&B literally gave people the the ability to add their own trade lines to their own credit reports, which a lot of creditors viewed as problematic. And that's why so many credit issuers and lenders look at Equifax and Experian, which is why you have to build those reports as well as D&B. So is it cool to add accounts you already have to D&B through the credit builder? Sure it is. The drawback there is there's a cost. Well, vendor accounts, there's no cost. You can get approved for Uline Quill, get real usable credit you can use to fund your business, get those trade lines, report to Equifax, Experian, D&B. You're building credit across all three reporting agencies without the cost. And personal credit doesn't matter. So it's a catch-all. Vendor accounts work perfectly because you don't have the cost that you have with Credit Builder. You don't have to have good credit like you have to have with the Unsecured Business Financing Program. The Unsecured Business Finance Program, well, let's be honest, it's freaking awesome. I mean, to get $50, $100, $150,000 in money for your business that you could get physical cash out on the cards, 0% for 6 to 18 months, no doc, no financials, no tax returns, even as a startup, that's pretty awesome. If you have good credit. If you don't have 680 credit scores or higher, or a guarantor that does, that option won't work for you. If you do, it's worth going with this option because you get physical cash credit you can use and you build your business credit. So there's an option for everybody, right? You could add accounts through the credit builder, you could get the unsecured business financing if you have good credit, or you could come in and use vendor accounts. So whether you want to pay the money, you don't want to pay the money, you have good credit, you have bad credit, any of those, I've talked about an option that will work for you with all three. So how do you set up your initial business credit profiles with Equifax? Well, Equifax is the third largest, much smaller than Experian and D&B. Most credit issuers and trade vendors report to D&B and Experian, not Equifax. So not a lot of people report to Equifax. And why I'm telling you this is that if you get access to a trade vendor or revolving store credit or fleet credit or any kind of credit that reports on your Equifax business reports, get that credit. There's not a lot of credit that reports, so it's hard to build Equifax reports. So if you find sources that do, you need to make sure you get approved for those sources, okay? Because if you don't, it's very difficult to establish the reports and scores with Equifax. That being said, many lenders pull Equifax commercial reports to make lending decisions, and your Equifax profile and score can also be included into your FICO SBSS score that's used by SBA lenders. So FICO SBSS is what conventional banks pull. This is FICO's small business score. And this score takes into account your Equifax credit, and that's what's used by most lenders, conventional banks, SBA lenders. So the bottom line is, if you want to ever get a bank loan, you need to make sure you build Equifax. Do not ignore Equifax. It's easy to do because not a lot of people report to them. But it's so important to get credit with them because if you ever want to get a bank loan, your Equifax business credit report is going to be an important part of that. So Equifax business credit report contains firmographics or business demographic info, public records, judgments, liens, UCC filings, BKs, trade payment history, financial payment history, corporate family trees and identifying information for each business level, small business owner and or guarantors associated with the business. That's exactly what you're going to find in an Equifax report, right? You're going to find the demographic info, the basic details about your business and all the stuff in public records and all of the details on your payment history and any other businesses in your corporate tree that are associated with you. And they're not going to put your personal credit on that report, but they are going to put the owner, your name, on the business credit report, the same as they do with your Experian reports as well. So the first step in getting set up with Equifax is to research to see if you're set up now. Go to creditsuite.com/reports and do a free search, or go to Equifax.com/business/credit-monitor-small-business. Now you know why I give you a quick link at creditsuite.com/reports, because their links are pretty long typically. But if you go to either one of these links, you can do that initial search to see if you have an Equifax report, and this is what it looks like. You go to this page right here, you go to Find a Company, you click Find a Company, they're going to ask for your info. Remember what I said, this is not linked to your EIN number. That's why so far you've looked at Equifax, D&B, and Experian, and you've seen that all of them give you free searches and none of them ask for your EIN because, again, your business records are populated under your business name and address, which is why it's so important. If you do a search, you're going to pull up results like this, and then you can click Select, and if it's your business, you could pull your report, and if not, you could select another. So here's the number of trade lines associated. with this. 306 trade lines. This one has 8,947 trade lines associated. That's a lot of trade lines, Walmart. And if you don't know that, 80% of what Walmart sells, they actually use business credit to buy first. So this is why Walmart's the #1 retailer in the world, because they're very good at building business credit, which is why you'll see thousands of trade lines with Equifax alone. Experian, they have about 500 something trade lines. Equifax, they have, as you can see here, about 9,000 linked to them, because what they'll do is they'll go to Bounty and they get business credit with Bounty. They buy Bounty paper towels using their business credit, put it on their shelves. You come in, you buy the paper towels, you give Walmart money, they take your money and use it to pay off the credit. So it's a very good example of how you can use business credit to grow. And then once you go through the next page, it's going to then give you an option of enrolling for credit monitoring reports. And you can see here how much these reports are. So again, here we are, multi-pack, 5 companies. So this means they're giving you the ability to pull business credit reports for other companies as well. Why does this matter? Because your competitors, your prospects, your clients, trade vendors, suppliers, lenders, anybody can easily access your business credit report. If they want it, they just have to pay to get it. As you can see here, they even have a bundle package to buy other credit reports. So if your search does show that Equifax has a record of your business, it makes sense to pull that Equifax report, because Equifax, just like Experian, will populate a credit report for you even if you have no trade lines reporting, and they will give you a credit score. And again, you can have 0 trades reporting and you can have a established credit profile, even a low credit score with Equifax, which is why it's important. So with Experian and Equifax, it's essential that you check your reports if you have credit showing, so that you don't get denials for credit and financing when you apply. And here's an example of a lender here that, thank you for submitting this application. We're disappointed to report we're not able to approve your client for financing based on the following reasons: below required business credit scores. And this is On Deck, which is one of the biggest lenders that's out there in the space for revenue lending. This is a merchant cash advance denial, an MCA denial. So this is a 30, 40, 50% interest rate loan, and somebody's getting denied only based on business credit quality. So again, this oftentimes happens because people have no business credit established whatsoever. They're given a bad score because they have no business credit score established, and the result of that is they get denied for credit and for loans. So one thing that I didn't mention during this is that Dun & Bradstreet requires 3 trade lines to be reported before they'll give you a score. Equifax and Experian, as we saw, require no trades, only demographic information to populate a score. So very big difference. Equifax and Experian will populate a report and a low score even just with demographic information about you. Dun & Bradstreet will need 3 accounts reporting to them to populate a score. So if you pull up a record with D&B, it's not as crucial that you pay for credit monitoring with them, because if you don't have any trade lines reporting, you're not going to have a score. But Equifax and Experian, it probably makes sense if a record pulls up under that free search that you see if you do have a score with them, because again, if you have no accounts reporting, they could still give you a score, unlike D&B that has 3 accounts reporting as a score. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up, everybody. Look, if you have any questions, reach out to us. info@creditsuite.com, 877-600-2487. You can also go to creditsuite.com/reports, do your free search with the reporting agencies, and we will soon have our monitoring link up there as well. And if you have any questions, like I said, just reach out to us and let us know. We're here to help you. I'm going to wrap this up. Thank you all very much for taking the time to attend today. I appreciate it. Look forward to seeing you on our next live event. And if you're not already, go to creditsuite.com, top right of the page, like us and follow us on Facebook and Periscope, because every Wednesday at 4 we go live on Periscope. Every Thursday at 11 we go live on Facebook. And as I go live, I teach you all this stuff, and I'm also there interacting with you, going through questions as we go through the process. So it's a lot more interactive than webinars. Webinars are teach you the concept, answer cute questions at the end. My live streams are all about engagement, answering questions as we go, so it's a whole different experience. Look forward to seeing you there. Thanks everybody very much. I hope you have a great day. Anything we can do to help you with the building business credit, let us know. And don't forget, we've helped, I don't know, 10, 20, 30,000 people build business credit now, a lot of people. So we have a lot of experience. So if you want the fastest, easiest way to get it done, then feel free to get in touch with us. We'll talk to you a little bit more about our program. Working with us is cheaper than doing it on your own because your 401 is included and so many other things are included that you don't have to pay for on your own. It's part of our product. So we'd love to work with you. Thanks everybody very much. Have a great day.
You've been listening to the Business Credit and Financing Show with your host, Ty Crandall. Watch for our next episode to get even more insight on financing and growing your business. And don't forget to check us out online at creditsuite.com for even more business growth strategies.